at the current moment. And hopefully by the next month, we should be completing the project, taking it to council for the notice of completion. Issue the state is currently reviewing our permit amendment for the water systems. As with any big, large projects, they have to make sure that it's um, in compliance so that we can operate and deliver safe water to the residents of South Pasadena.
Okay. And by the looks of it, it's at 99%. It's just a punch list. That's all
It
that's
is.
left on it.
That's all that's left.
And okay.
And once complete, then hopefully we'll get to see it one day.
And I know that there was one change order for the 800,000, so that it came in at 10 million. Was that still under budget by any chance?
Yes.
It was. Okay, good. All right. Thank you. You want to roll yourself right into Measure W as well?
Yeah, I know. I have a lot on my plate. Julian.
Aaron, I know you're here for a reason. Okay.
I'll be brief. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I wanted to update.
Yeah, that won't happen, but go ahead.
So just to a quick presentation about the projects that the city, as far as Measure W funds and what we're doing with it. Next slide. I'll just run over the brief presentations for some of the projects that are online. So as it stands, the city has applied for 2 safe clean water feasibility studies. And then there's another one that we're partnering with City of Pasadena that I'll bring to you at the May meet. Next slide. The first one, the feasibility that was submitted in 2019 and was approved is along the Arroyo Seco. It's 4 projects combined for a total of $400,000. At current, LA County hasn't awarded yet for the design portion. Feasibility has been completed. The second project that we have presented to the upper LA River is the Huntington Drive Regional Green Street Project. That was submitted for technical report programming. Next slide.
Did it work?
Raina? No, it
Oh.
didn't.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Okay.
So it's along the Arroyo Seco by the golf course. It encompasses the Arroyo Park. Overall, it's all combined. It's that one water that flows through. So $400,000 has been awarded, and 30% of that will include the feasibility design. Once that's implemented, we'll see what's going to come out of it to make sure that stormwater is captured, benefit to the community, as well as cleanup of the stormwater that's running down. Next slide. So this is really what it looks like. If you look at it, this is the 4 projects that has been presented. And once it's designed, it's going to do a lot of great things to capture the water, reuse, improvements on the parks, and also create wetlands for storm diversion and so forth in the future. Next slide. So these are the benefits that in line with the Measure W purpose, water quality, water supply, communities, improving the trails and connecting the parks. We have a trail by the golf course that might connect it all the way up to the Pasadena area so that it'll be a benefit use for the community, reduce cost impact and using of the existing facilities for the city. Next slide, Raina. So this is the first project. I won't go into too much detail, but I wanted to show you what was submitted. That's the Arroyo Seco running down. And then these are the concepts of what the drainage looks like and how they're going to capture it and implement all these measures. Next slide. Again, here it shows how much acres of capture land is available. There's an existing structure there across the Arroyo park, but where the baseball diamonds are, and that enhanced that concept. Next slide.
If anyone has any questions during the slide presentation, so
Yeah,
that we don't go back and
please.
forth, should they ask while we're going through the slides?
Yeah, this is in the first conceptual stages, so it's it's to be determined once the design team is on board for the feasibility study, and once they analyze everything, then we'll take it back for award of the project. So this is just the whole concept of what we plan on doing with it, but definitely if they have any questions, I'll do my best to answer as I can.
Thank you.
Okay. Next slide, Raina. Yeah, I think this makes it more, visible. As you can see to the right, the aerial image shows the area where the first phase of the project looks like. That's project number one. What has been proposed as far as how to capture and reuse that stormwater and enhance the water quality aspect of it as well. Next slide. And this is the second portion of that same project. So it's one, two, three. And this is more, it shows the area of that specific drainage and creating an underground detention basin, storm drain and adjacent to capturing the water for irrigation of the park and the golf course subsequent.
So
Yeah.
what we're looking at there on that slide is
Yes.
the entire good portion of the north part of the city, that
Correct.
all the runoff from the streets and storm drains all eventually will be captured somehow, somewhere, and run into the arroyo, as I
Correct.
call it, and then picked up and distributed throughout. And that's the intention, is it not?
Correct. Correct. That's the drainage area, and it all outfalls to the arroyo. So capture and reuse, as as well as the runoff that's coming down the storm drain itself. Next slide.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Where do the storm outflows go now?
You'll see it in the slide. So
Okay.
yeah, but they're there. The infrastructure is there. So the whole intent is to use what's existing and enhance it.
Okay, great.
Go for it. That's on the left side. It's in your packet. You'll see where the existing storm drains are. I think they're identified in the purple. See where they end, and so that's where the feasibility is to capture it and divert that so that it's utilized more. Next slide. And then the third project is, of course, the construction of the wetland at the golf course. And also you can see the purple lines on the picture shows where the drainage goes in to see how that area could be enhanced. Next slide. This one captures just a bit more. It shows the details of where I know I don't have the stick to show, um, of the wetlands within the golf course. There's, if you've ever, played at the golf course, you see there's a little river or a little capture area in the middle that could be enhanced because it's already there and make better use of it as well.
And everyone is familiar with the aerial shots that he's been showing, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, great. Next slide. And then the final portion of it is the construction of the wetland at the driving range, so further south from the golf course. It shows how much acres will be captured at the existing driving range. New space within the range can be used for flood mitigation and enhancement of the base. Next slide. This details it a little bit more as to, if you look at the features on the left, where that capture would take place and implemented. Next slide, Raina. So with the application, you want to make sure you improve the benefits. The second portion is the water quality aspect of it. By diverting it and reusing it, you're helping with what the goals of Measure W is to improve water quality. Next slide. The biggest benefit for me as a potable water purveyor is the enhancement of using, stormwater for irrigation and so forth would really minimize the dependence of potable water, which is more expensive to produce. Next slide. This is in a nutshell what the conceptualized project looks like, or its intention to see what improves the trails, the park use, surface water features will be implemented, and so forth.
I just got a question on the project one.
Yes.
On the conceptual drawings, has there been any thoughts or ideas about maybe turning it into more of a recreational park, where maybe we could add another field, if at all possible? I know the intent is to do a wetland, but as you're aware, city residents of South Pasadena, they love Arroyo Seco.
Yes.
And the amenities of the fields, the golf course, that's a major amenity of South Pasadena. And if there's any way we could possibly see if there's a conceptual drawing that, we could add a field or two. I don't know how large that site is, but I'd leave that up to you. If that's a possibility, love to see if there's a consideration.
Yeah, it's in the infancy stages. So yes, definitely everything has to be thought out and see what could be maximized use benefit both for the community as well as achieving what it wants to achieve. So yes, all those considerations will be taken into account.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Next slide. Ray. Go ahead.
Can any of this, the captured stormwater, can any of these use as irrigation to the nature park?
Yes, they can be used. Ultimately, that's one of the main reasons is to reuse of that water instead of running it because debris that go through it. Definitely, with some sort of treatment, that's the whole concept, is to reuse it for the nature park, for the golf course, and for the park itself. So those are things that will be considered, definitely.
As it is right now, all of the runoff that we have from the storm drains, city streets and whatnot, just go into the wash and work their way down to our never land of the ocean.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do, I think, and I think you'll get into it in the next few slides, where we have that dike, we will try to capture all of that water so that it can be used. And I think the first phase was to try to capture it, to use it for the golf course being the first, and then Arroyo South, and then the park, the Arroyo North, the baseball, and I call it baseball fields. Don't know why I call it that. It's it's our fields to the north, which is the soccer and baseball both.
Yes, that's correct. Next slide. And so as part of the scoring, the points also is to see with the Measure W is to benefits for the disadvantaged communities. So in this slide, you see that's been identified that there are disadvantaged communities within that area. So it's a benefit not only to the residents of South Pasadena, but to everyone at large. Next slide. Okay, this one is the Huntington Drive Regional Green Street project that we presented, I think, about a month or so ago. It's at the early stages. The city is seeking about 300,000 of the funds to capture and enhance stormwater. They haven't scored it, or they haven't awarded it yet. So we're hoping that if it's awarded, then we can use that money to do a feasibility study and come up with a project that benefits the city of South Pasadena. Next slide.
Will we hear about when will we hear as to whether or not we have been awarded this?
We're attending all the meetings, so once it's been, it's hard to say because there's a huge backlog, so it's, as soon as we find out, we'll let you know, have our fingers crossed.
Like, is it within the year, within the 5 years?
I really don't know, to be honest. No, I don't think, I really don't know
Okay.
the timeline for LA County, but I don't think it's going to be too long. And in some way, really, we've identified the area of the capture, and there's a median just between Fair Oaks and Marengo. And also with that, it will be beautification of the streets, benefit being its water quality, water supply, and hopefully recharge of the basin within South Pasadena. Next slide. As you can see, that's the overview of the project location where the drainage is going into the LA River. Next slide. Also identifying where the project is, project location is. Next slide, Raina. This is the conceptualized, what we presented to LA County. As runoff could be captured beneath the medians and create an underground storage, a dry well. Could be considered a regional green street along with the nature basin and median improvement, of course. Again, this is a feasibility, so that feasibility would really determine if it's a go or no.
So let me ask you on that drawing, do we take out the earth and go down 20 feet, 30 feet, and we actually create a bed and then put in a top layer to bring back the soil?
Yes, that's I think if you see Caltrans construction, they do that a lot to capture the runoff, treat it and then release it. That's the concept, correct?
Wow. And for right now, the portion that we're talking about is from Marengo to
Fair Oaks. So it's
Fair
on
Oaks?
Huntington, yes, on that median
Right.
stretch. Right.
Okay.
That's the area that has been identified. And in a few slides, you see why, because there's a storm drain and a sewer adjacent to it. So there's multiple options on how you can enhance
Okay. Wow.
stormwater capture and treatment. Next slide. So as you can see, here's that's the stretch of the project that's proposed. It's again east of Fair Oaks, right before you get to Marengo. It's on Huntington. It's a big median. And based on the initial calculation is what they're putting together, what the capacity is going to be for the storage. Next slide. And these are the existing storm drain sewer trunks within the city and close to the proximity of the project. Next slide. This is more an in-depth look of where the sewer and the storm drains are. So there are different options with this enhancement project. We can capture runoff and slowly release it into the sewer. The other one would be, by putting in drought tolerant turf and drought tolerant plants. You can also enhance the water conservation and then use that same water for on-site irrigation of these plants. Next slide. In sum, for the community, will be the beautification of the street, enhance habitat, meaning replacing the existing turf with native plants, including native drought tolerant, improve flood protection, and educational opportunity, be promoting, pedestrian crossing and so forth. So this is, again, it's the plan. We'll see how that pans out moving forward. Next slide. And as with every project, at the end, you have to identify the disadvantaged communities within that project. So that's been identified as well. And these are some pictures of the existing location, what it looks like now. And as you can see, it's there. And on the next slide, you see the potential of what we plan on doing with it. Next slide, Rena. Okay. Any questions?
The meridian, I mean, the Huntington Meridian is not going to be captured and used then in the arroyo. It's actually going to be captured and fed downstream into the sewer system and wherever else that may be. So that if there was a city below us, let's just say Alhambra,
Mhm.
could they actually then benefit from it as well?
Yes, because if you're cleaning up the stormwater and reusing it, you're minimizing it because you have your dry and your wet weather flows, but at the same time, have that purpose to act for storm drain.
So I guess a question would be, if they would benefit from it, should they not then enter into an agreement with us as well?
That's a good question.
I mean, if the county is looking at an overall picture, if we're capturing all this water and feeding it downstream, and if they can capture somehow feed off into their parks, into their, say, like we would be doing with the arroyo.
Right.
Food for thought.
Yes.
That's just another way of maybe selling the fact that we can help capture it for other cities.
I think the feasibility will say how much water for up. Yeah, that's why this is still at the infancy. So once it's identified and analysis and calculations are made, then you have a definite benefit for the neighboring cities.
Okay, thank you. Very well presentation. Who's presenting
Mhm.
for? What did you do?
Atene,
Yes,
what,
yes.
can you define what disadvantaged communities are?
I knew you were gonna ask that. Yeah, and the more disadvantaged communities that there are, the better we look. Okay, go ahead. I asked that question.
Well, I mean, based on LA counties with their measure W, I think the way it was the a census block of income. I think 80% of the statewide was it annual median household income is how they have it.
Yeah.
So that's what they've used and identified. I may be wrong, but
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that they look at is how we can make it better for others. And the overall picture is the higher the point advantage that there are more disadvantaged, the better the chances are that we would get the funds to capture this, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
I think that I work with this in my 9-to-5 job. And I think that Commissioner Mailing made a really good point that maybe we could probably work with our consultant to focus our, at least our Arroyo project is, all of the recreation opportunities that we have as a city, we welcome people from disadvantaged communities, and they will benefit directly rather than, if you just are presenting it as something that is to improve our water use at a golf course that I don't think is going to going to make the members of the Measure W committee, really want to,
Help
fund
support it.
our project. But
Sure.
we have a lot of
Absolutely.
opportunities to cross promote in ways that we could improve things in the county.
Right.
Definitely, there'll be a lot of stakeholders engagements. I mean, once it gets into it, that's why I think Julian wanted to bring it to this commission so that you're involved. And definitely,
And I have a question for you that you might not be able to answer today, but
yeah.
because I have not committed to memory where our groundwater wells are, but are there any potential projects that we would have to to revitalize or recharge the groundwater basin near our own groundwater wells. And
It's,
maybe these are not those projects, but
I
they
think
might be in different
definitely
cities.
look
I
into
think
it.
that's coming up.
But I mean for Measure W, because one
Oh.
of the components that they judge is for water supply. And like you were saying, Commissioner Hernandez, if we're recharging Alhambra's water supply, that's great for Alhambra, but you know, it might not be something that the city of South Pasadena wants to commit matching funds to in the
Right.
future.
Mhm.
I would definitely get you that answer. You are correct. I don't have the answer for you right now, but definitely would get back to you with the response for that. Commissioner.
Once we get our tour, then we'll all know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This one, I think Garrett has some portion of it as well, but it's an ongoing project. It's the Integrated Water Wastewater Resources Management Plan. It's really a cohesive look at water as one. And I'll just update you as far as the progress. It's still ongoing as we speak. Next slide. So the project overview is really looking at integrating, it's what they call a one water planning approach, creation of hydraulic model, comprehensive system evaluation of both, all around, as you see, recycled water, stormwater, potable water, sewer system, uh, water distribution system, water supply, and so forth. Looked at overall cities uh, integrated plan and come up with a project and identification for the city. Next slide. So the water system overview just encompasses the water system, as you can see, 5 pressure zones, 85 miles of pipeline, storage facilities, booster station, and our water supply, where our water that comes and serves the cities of South Pasadena. It's all going to be comprehensively looked at. Next slide. Here's a potable water distribution system within South Pasadena with the different size water mains and the ages. I mean, the different reservoirs that are located within the cities and their different pressure zones, as you can see colored in the different green, red, brown, and purple colors. Next slide. So the whole idea is to look into the water system, analyzing it. So, how could we best enhance the distribution, the water quality, and improve the fire protection elements also of a distribution system to ensure that it continues to thrive and serve the residents of South Pasadena.
Is that center picture, the bottom lower, is that a foundation that looks like it's beginning to crumble?
That's the Raymond tank. It was built that way. Around it, they just put bricks around the foundation itself.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's not the
It's
foundation.
not the foundation itself. Okay. Oh, well,
Next slide. I think this is in Garrett's purview. So Garrett, if you want to chime in. Garrett, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we're currently working with a contractor to inspect and evaluate all 65 miles of our sewer system. We've received about 60% of the data so far that we're providing to the consultant to help us update our sewer master plan and identify any areas that need attention or to be upgraded. Like it says in the slide, we don't have our own wastewater treatment plant. Everything goes to Los Angeles, which I believe is the Hyperion Treatment Center. So,
have we identified any really damaging that we've had to seriously think about replacing?
No, there's been nothing found that needs complete replacement. There's a few areas that that need some root foaming and some lining and a little bit of patchwork, but nothing where we need to completely tear a stick out and replace it.
Okay.
Next slide, Rena. So here's the entire sewer system collection. We do serve all the residents of South Pass, except for a few that are still on septic. But this is just a general overview of the sewer system. Mostly what we have is 8-inch pipe, as you can see denoted on the map. And next slide.
And that's you.
Sure. So we have a shared storm drain system where the city, during rain events, we ensure that all the storm drains are clean, to prevent any kind of street flooding. And we only have about 2 miles of our own, where most of it is taken care of by LA County, and we contract them to ensure that the catch basins are cleaned twice a year, once during dry, once during wet. And then we are working on putting in some new screens inside the catch basins to help make sure that we're in compliance with our MS4 permit and the sweepies and all that stuff. So we're not getting any trash or debris in the storm drain that we're not supposed to. Next slide. So here's the map here that kind of denotes what we have and who has what responsibility. So most of our storm drain infrastructure is up in the hills and then in the northern part of this city. And a lot of it's actually above ground, just, flows through the street in the open gutters, open channels, and then undergrounds at certain points and then daylights at others. Next slide. And then here are some of the projects that kind of are included in the Measure W's studies, and then which antenna already talked about.
Yes.
So if there's any further questions there.
That dark green, is that the Meridian? What is that?
That's El Centro.
Oh, El Centro. Okay. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And next slide.
Yeah. So as part of this integrated water and wastewater, we also looked into the opportunities for recycled water as part as, improving, and there's some potential, projects have been identified. So will be assessed to make sure that the city is in a better place, so that if the opportunity for recycled water is available in the future, then, you can plan towards making sure your infrastructure is in place. Next slide. And these are the potential that has been looked at in the future based on who can bring that recycled water to South Pasadena. These are the recommended, sizes for the recycled water pipeline, because they have their own guidelines and how they implement it. And these are also looked into as far as cost analysis to ensure that the most cost-effective ones are picked depending on when that availability is made. Next slide. So to date is just some of the progress updates that we've completed. It's been an ongoing project, and we've been doing a lot between, looking into land use and population. All these are going to be incumbents for the city of South Pasadena. Wastewater flows. If you go to the next one, Raina, you'll identify the water demand forecast, water system evaluation criteria, and everything, so that you have an overall analysis and come up with a holistic master plan for the city moving forward. Next one. A recycled water project identification of we've done that, how much demand is needed and so forth to be incorporated, and we'll be ready for implementation when the time comes for recycled water to be available to South Pasadena. Stormwater, of course, some of the GIS updates of the system description and drainage and stormwater management plan. Next slide. What we're looking ahead is these are pending. Hopefully, we're planning on getting it wrapped up by the end of this year. Review all the chapters, finalize it, and have a comprehensive report, master plan for the city of South Pasadena. Next slide. I think that concludes.
Thank you very, very much. Well done. I think we have the one more item. I don't know who's presenting this one. It's on the West Side Reservoir. If we're not familiar with it, we should be, because I think this one is going to need our attention more than anything right now.
It's enough for me.
That's yours?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, give us a rundown, because this one, I read through it and sure it looks like we're in dire need of doing some repairs to this.
Yes, I mean, it's an information for you. The West Side Reservoir was built in the 1960s, I think, when the Monterey, the Altos de Monterey was being, developed at the time. It's one of the last, I think, largest reservoirs that we have in the city that hasn't been improved upon. It has some deficiencies, and definitely, if funding is approved, that's the goal is to make sure that infrastructure is improved and to guarantee that it continues to serve the residents for another 100 years.
Are we going after the funds on this for anywhere in particular? Or is it just being put into our city budget?
Yes, we're looking to different options, but as of yet, there is no funding for it.
Okay. Any questions, comments? I leave it open to everyone.
I didn't mean to barrage you with all these information, so I didn't realize what all the was that was put on the plate.
Yes,
I
Evelyn.
I have a storm drain on the west end of my property, and I was told I can't build any structure on top of it. And in since 1984, I've never seen the city clean up or anything like that. So how often do you do maintenance on the storm drains?
Sure. So I would need to look at the maps of record for your property to see if we have an easement for the storm drain maintenance, because sometimes the property owner is responsible for the maintenance of it, and sometimes the city is or the county. So I would need to see the maps of record to be able to make that determination for you on how we would need to proceed with that. So if you want to connect with me after the meeting or tomorrow, we can, I can start to do the research for you on that.
Is that at the back of your property, Evelyn?
Yes.
It's in the
Yes.
back. So there's a most of her side of the street was fill. It was a canyon. There is a storm drain that runs from Alta Vista, I think it is. And it runs all the way down the back side, and it's all underground. It's all underground. I think there's a 24-inch basin that's all the way down below it. So if it goes a full length, probably at least a mile or so. and runs off into the canyon. So I doubt very much that they would, as a homeowners, would be responsible for that.
Yeah,
But I
what I
don't-
meant is like keeping the grate clear, since it's on private property, but the actual, as debris may or may not flow down the drain,
Yeah,
it'll come to one of our catch basins where we would clean it.
yeah,
at that point.
yeah.
But if like it was damaged or broken, I would have to see if we had the easements to be able to get in there to.
Yeah, because I think it's probably at least 10 to 12 foot deep in the rear, if I recall right. Anyhow, take a look at, yeah. Okay, any other questions, comments?
What's the size of the Measure W funds?
For the city or as at home?
As a whole?
I can jump in, Antenna. As far as my understanding is that all of our property taxes went up based on the amount of permeable land you have on your property, and so it will be a constantly rotating fund, and it should be a very sizable amount because it will be based on how much the county's main aim for getting this on the ballot was that the county itself wanted to comply with its own permit conditions and its MS4 requirements. But they're hoping that the rest of us as property owners and cities and public agencies can help out by finding ways of stopping the water and the junk that goes with the water to get into our waterways. So I think that it's going to be a constantly rotating fund that just will increase as time goes by.
The more permeable land you have, the more amount you pay to the city or county? Ouch.
Ouch.
Actually, I might be wrong. Now that might actually be the opposite. If you had
Probably is.
if you had blacktop on your property, instead of orchards that you could turn into something that could be like a green street.
Uh-huh.
I think that it's supposed to be an incentive to be able to capture more water.
I think it's impermeable. I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, forgive me. Stormwater is not my forte, but definitely I'll research and get back to you, Councilman.
There's also, if you go on, if you look at Measure W, I get emails of their committee, their Upper Los Angeles River Area Committee, that will show how often they'll be considering the different applications. Because I know that there's some backlog because so many people had so many projects that they want help paying for.
Yeah. Okay. David, Frank, nothing, and I don't see Charles ever coming on board. That's unfortunate. Well, it's unfortunate that he's not joining us this evening. He usually has 1,001 questions. All right, next item, the more important one. As the chair of the Chamber of Commerce for a one-year term that lasted 3 years, we have an appointment of the chair and vice chair, and I believe our chair-elect Julie, I'd like to nominate you to take over our chair for the coming year.
Thank you.
I need a second and then we can get to vote on that.
Second.
Thank you, David. I have a second.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. So,
As long as she's accepting it, go ahead.
sorry. So, Julie, you formally accept the nomination?
Yes, I formally accept it.
Okay, great. We're going to do a voice vote to have Vice Chair Julie Riley be the chair for the Public Works Commission starting in May. So we're going to do a quick roll call. Commissioner Frank,
Aye.
Commissioner David Malley,
Aye.
Chair Sam Hernandez,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Julie Riley.
Aye.
Okay, so the voice vote passes 4-0 unanimously.
That's in May. All right. And for a chair-elect,
Great. So now we'll do it for vice chair. If anyone has any nominations.
Vice Chair, thank you. Yes. I don't want to jump right into it, but I'd like to nominate David as long, nothing. David, if you'd like.
More than happy.
Thank you.
Second the nomination.
And I have a second. Thank you, Julie.
Great, thank you. So we'll go ahead and do a voice vote. Commissioner Frank Catania,
Aye.
Commissioner David Malley,
Aye.
Chair Sam Hernandez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Julie Riley.
Aye.
Perfect.
Great. So the vote passes 4-0 unanimously. We will have a new vice chair starting in May. So that'll be David Malley, and we will now have a new chair starting in May. We have Julie Riley. So you will see that reflected on next regular meeting agenda. For the minutes that are being kept for this meeting, it'll still be Sam that is going to sign off for those, just a heads up.
Okay. And with that, do we have any changes, corrections, additions to our minutes of last? Seeing, hearing nothing, do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt the minutes from January 13th, 2021. Written.
Motion? And second?
Second.
Thank you, David.
Okay, perfect. We're gonna do a quick roll call to pass them.
Thank you.
Commissioner Frank Catania,
I'm going to abstain. I was not at the meeting.
not a problem.
Good.
Commissioner David Malley,
Aye.
Chair Sam Hernandez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Julie Riley.
Aye.
Okay, so motion passes with the voice vote of 3-1 with Commissioner Frank Catania abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Do you think it's possible that we'll be back in the city council chambers next time in May?
That I don't know for sure. That'll be city manager's call. City manager's offices will let us know as soon as we can. Until further notice, they've let us know we're continuing doing our Zoom meetings. But if and when they do happen, we will go ahead and make sure that we give that proper instruction ahead of time. Everybody knows where the council chambers are. So that's where we'll be meeting. And we will be recording it pretty much, I believe, the same way, only with voice recording from what I understand, unless they give us the technology to go ahead and record it on what they have there with Spectrum, what they use, but I don't think Spectrum is going to be assisting us.
Okay.
Now that everything is opening up, maybe we've been talking about getting a tour of the facilities. If that's something we could
Yeah.
put on the schedule, that would be great.
Yeah. We've all looked forward to the tour. I know I'd love to be able to take a look at all of them. So if and when that happens, we really look forward to that.
Is that a goal that maybe we could achieve before our next meeting in May?
We'll check with all the proper stakeholders and we'll get back to you.
Great.
It's definitely our, as soon as it's safe and we can, we definitely would love to have you come.
Yeah, maybe a consideration is we all take our individual cars, meet at each of the locations, and, that would be great.
I had both vaccines, so I'm good.
Great.
But I'm the oldest one here, so that's understandable. Okay, Evelyn,
Yes.
any communications from you from City Council? You
Uh,
are our liaison. Your turn. Give
Oh,
us some good news.
well, nothing so far. No projects. So I have none to report.
Thank you. Okay. Any one of our commissioners would like to speak up and say, I just want to say, I want to thank you all for working with me for this last, I believe it's 6 months. Seems like it didn't seem that long. I know that we've had our challenges, and it seems to be getting a little bit easier out there. I hope so. I hope that we will all get together and be at the chamber or the council chambers and take that tour all together so that we can see what we've been trying to achieve for the last 6 months. So thank you, Julie, for taking over. It's been really tough. So I wish you all the best with this. Thank you.
Well,
All
thank you,
right.
Sam. You demonstrate the civility pledge that you read at the beginning of each of these meetings. It's nice to
Well,
get to know
thank
you and learn from you too.
Thanks. All right. Any commissioner would like to say a few words, ask questions, make any comments, bring up anything? The floor is yours. Don't all speak at once. It's okay. It's a long night. I know some of you have not had dinner yet. That's all right. Okay, and not having anything from staff.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to remind the commissioners and anyone who may be watching or watches this in the future, the city does have a adopt a tree program where for a nominal fee, you could donate a tree to the city that we can plant in the city right away in your honor. So it's a great program. It also has the nexus with all the stormwater programs and, capture devices. It helps filter and treat rainwater and stormwater runoff. So it's a great way to recharge and reuse the natural water that's given to us via the rain. So it's on the city's website. You just have to search in the bar the Adopt a Tree program. And if
Okay.
you guys have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Garrett. That's wonderful. Okay, Raina, anything else?
Nothing for me. Antana, did you want to share anything for the group?
No, thank you so much for, having me, and you'll be seeing me until we get a replacement.
We absolutely will see more of you, I'm sure.
And I look forward to giving you the tour of the facility.
Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to it. Okay, and with that, I think we will call it at 7:34, looks like. Hour, 2 minutes. Thank you all once again. We will see you, May 10th is our next meeting, and I'm sure that they'll keep us informed of where and when.
May 12th.
May 12th. Okay. Mother's Day, isn't it? No.
I'd have to double check. This is always on a Wednesday, so.
Oh, yeah, it'll be Mother's Day. All right. Well, I thank you all once again. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Be safe out there. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and God bless. See you all. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.